So I got stuck there because I wanted to ordain, I wanted to be monk, and I wanted to live in a kuti and have time to meditate. But of course that I didn't want to stay in Wat Pah Nachat, but I didn't know where to go, really. And then Tandira Panyo helped me. He, disrobed in the meantime, and he connected me with Tan Panyanando, the Jewish monk, who they didn't simply want to ordain in the monastery because he was too old. But he wasn't. Nevertheless, that guy found the monastery and ordained there. Very small monastery, Wat Pah Kachana Pisek, 70 kilometers from Konkan. So I went there, stayed 3 months and so on, went back to Croatia, but went back there, and after 1 year, I ordained. And then in that monastery, first thing we all noticed is that Abbot spends a lot of time with a girl called New. Her father is a cab driver. Her father owns a van. And Abbot spends a lot of time with her, and when Abbot is with her or with other girls, if you approach him, he's gonna look at you and say, "Can I help you? Can I help you?" That's the Ajahn Sudhira. He's been in the business, I think, 30 years. Before that, he was an army officer. He was the youngest officer in the Thai army with the combat experience. And then he turned Buddhist. So, but I also noticed in that monastery that it's very lucrative. I mean, Abbot has a tumnai, Abbot has a rice field, and like in feudal system, there is a family working there and giving him a nice chunk of the money. Then he has a furniture workshop where people work for $3-4 per day, and he makes the furniture, everything, and he exports that to New Zealand, where he has another monastery and a house, and he also has a house in Oxford. So that guy, been pulling money from many different directions and spending lots of time with that girl. And one day, I saw the guy leaving a room with that girl, and he was there more than 30 minutes, and that was on the 26th February 2013, precisely 16:30, when I sent the first text messages to the previous monastery that I'm gonna be late. So precisely 365 days after that, I see Abbot leaving a room with a girl. And this is big no in Buddhism, because Buddhists, they have this Nikaya thing with 227 rules, and the first rule is no faki, right? If you do this, you're not monk anymore. And then after a while I started to talk with other monks, and Tanbred knew even more. He knew about other girls, he knew about girls which been there 10 years ago, and same story. When girls get close, she gets a car. And New also got a new Honda. And guess who lended the money for the van? Because people there, they make 80 to 100 euros per family, per household, per month at the top. It was Ajahn Sudhira. So whole family was pimping the girl to the Abbot, and it was not the only girl. But the thing is, in Thailand especially, you have really you really have behind this fake teeny smile, you have really sinister reality. And that reality is that if somebody is in the position of power, and even if the whole community sees that he's fornicating or whatever, nobody's gonna talk about it, because this is dangerous. This is very dangerous, okay? So we, the white people in the monastery, nobody told us that. All Thais knew, most of them at least, but they all knew. But they all played a role. And we talked, and I opened myself to the internet lady in the shop. And I was monk back then, but not Buddhist anymore. And I just opened to her, and she started to talk, and in the same time Tanbred foolishly went to the superior monks to report that, and of course they told Sudhira that somebody's ratting on him. So we've been kicked out of the monastery. Well, properly disrobed, right? So we can robe again, but we've been kicked out. And this is the lesson, This is not surprising, but this is how the system works. It's corrupt, especially top. It's corrupt. So top monks, They have all the money they want. They have women. They always go somewhere, and whatever they do, some of them even participating in the child sacrifices. And in that region is this is the region where between 30 and 50,000 children go missing every year. So do you think that these guys on the top of the hierarchy in that communities don't know a thing about it? Think twice. If Illuminati form 2% of the total population, if like maybe 5 to 6% of the total population is demonically infested, and if all these millions of children go missing, do you think that your priests, your abbots, your muftis don't know a jack shit about it? Guys, wake the fuck up. Of course they know. They are part of it. They are part of it. This is why they're so protected. This is why they can get away with anything. While you on the bottom of the hierarchy, you have to kneel on your knees, you have to bow, and you have to do all this shit. They don't have to. They simply remind you that you've been missing your meetings, because right and left hand is always there to check out who's attending those boring meetings. Now, upper echelons of the hierarchy don't do these long ceremonies every day. No, only when it's a time to collect money, when they have this like holidays. Then they're gonna do the 45 minutes of blah 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 blah. I never actually bothered to memorize that stuff. It was always boring anyway. But I read Nikayas, and this is something what average monks are not interested into, understanding the core of the Buddhism. And these books you actually have to pay for. You're gonna get all these like English monk little booklets like this for free, but you're not gonna get Nikayas for free, and they're not gonna encourage you to read them, because in Nikayas you're gonna find really ridiculous things like, Lord Buddha, how come earthquakes happen? Well, rain goes down and then it goes under the earth, and because it's hot underneath, the rain gets boiled, and then earth moves. Okay, that's very, very deep. Lord Buddha, where is the end of the world? Well, many people have been flying, and they never reach the end of the world. Whoa, enlightened human being, excellent. Nobody noticed that Earth is around. I mean, and then I just have to tell you this, right? The Lung Po Liam. So how hierarchy goes? You always have somebody at the top, and well, let me start with the Lung Po Liam. Lung Po Liam is apparently Arahant. He is the boss of our boss. He is the boss of the Kivali. He resides in the top monastery Wat Papong in Ubon Ratchathani, while that Wat Pananachat is something like 12 kilometers away from Ubon Ratchathani. So one day, Ajahn Kivali came with a bright idea from the Lung Po, and if Lung Po is Arahant, that means he's enlightened. And he told us that we actually have to clear our jungle. So monastery is 2 by 1 kilometers of jungle, and Lung Po Liam told us that we have to clear it all from the dead branches. For those of you who didn't have biology in a school, let me just enlighten you that these dead branches and dead trees, they actually form humus. They actually form soil. This is how soil been formed. Second thing is, you don't enter into rainforest unless you have rubber boots and very, very good rubber gloves, because it's full of motlin, of the fiery ants. It's full of snakes as well. And one day we've been busting our ass to clear part of the pathway. Maybe we managed to clear up to 4 meters by 20 meters. We piled up like 4-5 meters in diameter of dead branches, 5-6 something like it meters up, and made a huge bonfire. 30 of us been busting our asses off whole day, and we managed to clear only one fraction of that forest. And then after that, second day, nobody was mentioning Arahant's great idea. Oh, tempora of Morris, but so what else can I say about Buddhism? Well, Buddhism is pretty much spiritual death. It detaches you from your soul, explaining you there is no soul. It discourages you from thinking, because already everything is set up in the Buddhism, and you supposed to follow your abbot, whatever your abbot is saying. And my abbot was not very spiritually deep. Whenever I came with some question, he always was confused. And I actually had many questions. Like, for example, in Nikayas you will find number of examples when monks been suffering from disease and then they committed suicide. And when asked Buddha, was this okay, he would say, yeah, it's perfectly fine. And that explains you why monks even today are doing suicides, especially why they burn themselves, because in Buddhism suicide is perfectly fine if you're arahant. And but encouraging suicide, that's really sick, isn't it? So this is all this reducing people just to be just containers. And nirvana, what is that? Or nippon, or nibbana, or nirvana, depends how you're gonna put it, Sanskrit, Pali, or Thai. This means simply ceasing of suffering, and extinguishing the candle. But there are no explanations what is that. And when Buddha been questioned even by the monks in that time, he was pretty much going ballistic, like, you're not supposed to think about these things, you're supposed to listen what I said and stuff like that. So I know that for Western Europeans which been diluted by the Christianity, and of course they have another option which is even worse called Islam, they tend to find a refuge in something what has such a good PR as Buddhism. And because Buddhism has meditation, which is very unique in religion. But if you end up going that way, you're just gonna end up in a very strict hierarchy, where upper echelon is constantly kicking your ass and telling you what to think and overworking you over the clock. So you can learn from your own experience, and if you want to do this, you can go there, but you can also learn from my experience. And what was the good thing about that? Well, I did actually have some time to meditate in Wapakachanpisek, and I did manage to connect with my soul. And then I understood these mental visions are actually visions of my soul. And Buddhism is actually teaching you not to listen or not to watch those mental visions. While in the reality it's contrary. You're actually supposed to connect to your soul and watch those mental visions, because they can be extremely helpful for you to understand the context. And how can you actually feel love if you're disconnected from your soul? You can only feel it in the theory. And Buddhism is just a nice bullshit theory. Thank you very much.